Do not go broke so that your child can play sports. It isn't necessary.
This is the Coaching Life Podcast. My name is Pat Martin. I'm here with my friend, Coach Chris Stewart. Coach, great day outside today. Enjoyed my walk to the studio.
Good.
I like the fall feel that's in the air right now.
You know, listen to that. Right outside our studio here, someone's getting taken down right now, arrested.
No, what are you talking about? I don't hear it.
Did you hear that?
I thought it sounded like a helicopter or something. I thought it
was it that I didn't see a police officer drive by, but I saw like an unmarked.
That's what it was. Interfering with they might have been
FBI
trying to track what we're talking about here.
That's right. We heard some guys are going to throw some people under a bus and kick them a little bit today.
Guys, you can subscribe.
Yeah,
to the FBI guys tracking,
right,
that have a bug.
You'll know right where we're at. You'll know right. No, yeah, we always start off our podcast talking about the weather. It's like,
here's why.
It's just the way It's
for me.
How's it going? It's been nice out there, hasn't it?
For me, I don't spend much time on campus anymore because when COVID hit, everyone went remote except Coach Stewart here. He was in here working
hardcore.
Yeah, he stayed the whole time. But I've always enjoyed campus, just walking around campus. I always have. Even when I was a kid, I did. And so, being able to be up here and seeing College Green and smelling the whatever it is, the grease, whatever it is.
Hey, I purposefully park far away.
So you can walk.
There are different options for parking lots, and all of them happen to be downhill. And so making it an uphill walk to my office every day. But sometimes I will actually park, like during the summer, like during right now, when it's summer, but like you said, these days have been really nice.
Yeah.
And so in addition to that, the football team's been in camp as well. Mm-hmm. And so they get out there and they start working out around 9 o'clock. I mean, there are people doing things and drills and things like that early, but they actually start organizing their stuff about 9 o'clock in the morning. And so I'll come down there as I've been pulling in here. I've been hanging out at the house and doing a lot of answering emails and kind of getting my day started working from home, which is a cool, flexible, thing that we actually do have. I mean,
right.
A lot of people in my building are working from home this summer as well. And then I'll get myself ready to roll, and I'll arrive here at about 9 o'clock. And so I've been actually parking down there, walking over into Peden Stadium, and catching a couple guys as they're little fist bump as they're going down to practice as well.
Oh, that's cool.
And then watching the first bit of practice a little bit, and they're looking good.
Yeah,
they're looking good.
So what did I see? What did I read about Curtis? Shoot.
Well, he's full
up for
go.
an award. Is he?
Probably. Sam Wiglis is up for the Blitnikoff award.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
And OU is the coaches poll ranked them first for this year in the MAC East.
MAC.
Yep.
Sweet.
Yep.
Yeah, looking for good things. I think
could be the year
they win it last year if
the whole thing, the whole shebang.
Yeah, if Curtis doesn't get hurt, I think. And
you're right. You're right.
Backup did a great job.
He did.
Just
CJ
changed things going into that last game.
It did. That he had a lot of success when he first came in.
Yeah.
When he finished the game at Ball State, and then the last home game here, where really nobody had any film. Everybody had prepared for Curtis, right?
Right.
And CJ was such a different type of quarterback, and then Toledo has 3 or 4 weeks to prepare.
Right.
And they were ready.
Yep.
Yeah, they were ready.
Yep.
And
credit them.
So
this should be a good year for the Bobcats.
It really should. It really should.
You have season tickets?
Actually, I do not. We are going to buy them probably.
Yeah.
Because April and Kaylee will want to go. Kaylee's no longer a student, and so she doesn't get that student ticket. But and then Brock and Allie are going to be here as well.
That's right.
Yeah.
I guess that's news from last week.
That is. There have been developments since last week, which is amazing.
Had a feeling there would be.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep, the whole Stewart family's back together.
They are.
again.
That's right. Thank you all for praying for Brock and any of you who've done anything. Brock and Allie and Palmer, my
Yep.
granddaughter,
Yep.
and any of you that maybe even did more than pray as well. Thank you very much for that. They are still in transition mode and working on what their next steps are going to be. But since the time we recorded last, Allie was offered an elementary school teaching position at Alexander Elementary School here in Athens, and so they went ahead and accepted that. Brock is still throwing his net out there and applying. And now that they know that they're going to be living close to Grandma, Grandpa, Aunt Kaylee, and both sets of grandpas, great grandparents. Grandpa, grandmas on both sides, and grandparents and relatives. They've got lots of childcare opportunities, and so Brock is considering master's degree here at OU. He's applied for a couple positions here at OU. I'm really just hoping and praying that one of those, which is right up his alley in terms of his expertise, he's very qualified for it. So I hope he gets the opportunity.
I feel good about it. The one thing that Brock and Allie are going to have to deal with is all of you grandparents deciding what's best for Palmer.
You're not kidding.
Because you're going to, cookies, for instance.
Yeah. Well, we're not doing that yet. Right.
Well, she's a little young.
That's right.
She's a little young, but they're gonna go through that, and that's not something they had to deal with. Like you think initially, and I think they're gonna be blown away.
I got something for you here, Pat. I got something for you.
What's this?
I got her to laugh. Listen to that. That was some of the first time
Oh man, that's awesome.
that she actually gave that big belly laugh like that. So that's my granddaughter Palmer. She made the podcast.
She's on.
Palmer made the podcast before Allie did. Can you believe that?
Yeah.
A dual scholarship, collegiate athlete, record-breaking cross-country and track runner in NCAA Division II, and we've not had her on here.
I blame you.
We need to get her in here.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
We should, definitely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Better do it quick before school starts.
Yeah.
But I think they're gonna feel ultra blessed about how everyone being there to support them.
Yep.
To volunteer to help,
That's right.
which is a good segue.
No problem at all volunteering.
Into the second part of our do's and don'ts series.
Part 2, what to do in the world of sports as a parent, right?
Yep.
As a parent of children who play sports, what to do for yourself, things that you should do for yourself, things you should do with other parents, things you should do with your coaches, things you should do for your children. And on the other side of that, we're going to recommend some things you should not do
Correct.
for all of those categories of people as well.
Right.
And so bouncing right back into it, we could put ourselves on the spot and say, let's review what we talked about last time, 2 weeks ago.
I say we leave that up to our listeners.
That's right. That's right.
And if they have any questions or thoughts, they can reach out to us.
We can jump right ahead, move forward, moving forward, no looking back.
Yeah. So our first do for the day is what?
Speaking to parents, definitely do offer to help. Definitely do volunteer your time in any way that you can support the program and the coaches, right? And I know that when I mention that out loud, we have coaches that listen to our podcast, right?
Right.
And some of them may go, I don't know if I want that. I don't know if I want that, right?
Right.
So we as coaches are saying, do it. To asking parents,
As the parents to do it,
to volunteer. Yeah.
Right. Well, and then you would have to wonder, I guess, to the parents out there, why would a coach not want someone to volunteer?
Yep.
But there's a lot of things that coaching entails. And I would say, from our perspective now, at a high school level, that is true exponentially.
Yes.
From an administration.
Yes.
Fundraising, just anything that you have to do, feeding. There's all kinds of things that you're responsible for that you think before you do it, thinking about going in to do it. You probably don't think about some of those things.
There are things that your coaches are wanting to get done that he or she is going to have to do himself, but would prefer not to have to do it themselves, right? Or they're going to have to put it on their back burner and not get it done. But it would be great if we could get this done. And those are the things that you could be a huge help for, with.
Sure.
We should probably, instead of being abstract, we should probably provide some examples of that. Like you mentioned feeding, things like that.
Right.
We're talking about a high school program, then
kids before long trips or something like that.
Yeah.
Parents step up to volunteer to organize how to get food there, what food to get, things like that. We've done that on a few occasions.
Right. Yeah, I mean there are lots of things that even from a youth sports perspective, there are ways that we used parents as volunteers in practice when my kids were younger, playing 10U, 11U, 12U ball.
Sure.
And because I know some people might be like, well, okay, when you say volunteer, you're talking about like those things, right? The off the field things, the bringing food, things like that. But no, there are times when we actually wanted parental volunteers during practice.
Sure.
And I told them specifically what we would like to have them help with. And this is sort of the way we handled it back when I was coaching youth ball. This is kind of taking me back now, but I remember having that initial parent meeting with our Little League team or whatever it was, 12U team. And we introduced the coaching staff. So you have myself and then this other guy or these other people, these two other guys these are the coaches. And this is what we're going to be, teaching your children. This is how we're going to be leading them. This is what the practices are going to look like and how they're going to be structured. And so I would kind of go over what the practice plan would look like. And then obviously when you hear the practice plan, it makes sense that we don't have enough coaches to be at all the different places we would like for our kids to be working. Mm-hmm. And so in those moments and on those practice plans, we might be calling upon some of you to volunteer in these ways. And I was very clear when I said, we are not going to ask you to volunteer to coach, to instruct, okay? In fact, we would prefer that you didn't. Not that we don't trust you. It's just that, it's not what we're asking you to do. It's we're the coaches, and so if you'd like to be on the coaching staff, we could talk for next year, and we'll see if our philosophies mesh, and sure enough,
that's also a volunteer.
Exactly.
In many cases,
absolutely. Yeah. It's in a lot of youth sports. It's very hard to get an assistant coach, right? Well, it's easy to get an assistant coach. It's hard to get a head coach.
Well, sure, but hey, I would like to know of any parents out there that have an interest in becoming coaches. It's hard to keep coaches in your staff. And you've done a good job of it the last couple of years.
Well, I don't know. I don't know. We've got some great people that want to be there, whether and only one of them has a child in the program. Yeah. Right. And, I'll be curious to see if Wes wants to stick around after next year. Because not only does he have Peyton, who will be graduating this year, but his daughter is a phenomenal athlete as well. Player, yeah, she's going to play volleyball in college for sure.
In the spring though.
And she does. Oh yeah, she plays in the spring.
In college she won't though.
Well, in college, right. Yeah.
So she plays.
But she'll still be in high school the fall. And she's younger than Peyton too. So.
Oh.
So. Yeah,
I got you.
I hope Wes listens to our podcast too, so he's hearing me say this, and I'm going to tell him right now. You can't walk away after Peyton graduates. In fact, coaching will get a lot more fun for you after he graduates.
He will.
It's a lot less stressful. Yeah, it's funny, man. I can see, and he, he and I've talked about it. You can see this, like when Peyton's pitching, especially, because I got stressed out every at bat. Every time Brock was up, I would be down on third base, and it was just a little different feeling. You feel it with your son playing.
I do.
It's just different, right?
Yeah, it's different.
But now that I'm not, all of these kids are my kids now. And they're all the same.
Mm-hmm.
Like none of the, like, yeah, I love all of my kids, but I'm sorry, I love mine a little bit more.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
And so when yours is on your, and you get a little bit more nervous for your kid.
And there's a lot of factors for that. Not only because you want them to succeed, but because you know that they are a reflection of you as well. So
whether that's good or bad.
Well, I would say
a good or bad perception. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and that feeling is very human, but run from that feeling as much as you can, because it's not good. Like you should never feel any way about your kids. You should never feel that it impact in a reflection. Is that a don't?
In fact, it reminds me of a don't. So I'm actually writing it down here. We can bounce to it later. But anyway, I mean, I guess just to finish the I got one. So to finish that thought, or that story, I said we're gonna ask you to volunteer to put baseballs on tees. We might ask some of you to volunteer to catch bullpens, because we don't have enough people. We don't have enough kids. We only had like 12 kids on the team, and if we're gonna have 4 stations, and during one of those, during BP, I'm gonna send pitchers over to throw. We don't have enough kids catchers. So if we could get a couple parents to sit on some buckets, we'll give you a mitt, and just all we're asking you to do is catch the ball and throw it back to them. Catch the ball, throw it back to them, right? And
huge help
for the younger kids. That's I wouldn't ask parents to come and catch bullpens for our high school kids, but we don't need that. That's not something we need.
I know some parents that would, though.
Right.
When you have staff.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Well, he has, and he does. Yeah.
He's got a cannon. That's what the Pony League player said.
Is that what, did they?
Yeah, but you said you're real specific about what you do and don't want them to do, and I think that would be a reason why coaches might shy away from doing this, because there's people out there that can't focus just on that task of just set the ball on the tee. They start talking about mechanics and keeping your elbow up and things like that, and it's just repeating things that not necessarily could be a bad thing, but not coming from the same. The voice isn't coming from the same place.
Sure,
and that can confuse things.
Sure,
yeah.
Well, and let's just be really honest. There's a reason why. As a coach, I can say this. There are people I want to volunteer, and there are people I don't want to volunteer, right?
Yeah.
Because there are people who, if they volunteer, they're going to want an advisory role on your coaching staff, right? Yeah. I mean, whether they say it or not, because they already do that. They already sit up there and critique and think and basically coach in their own mind or even out loud to the people that are standing or sitting around. And so when you say, just kind of put it out there as a blanket statement, hey, do volunteer. Understand, folks, there are coaches who are like, no, there are some people I don't want to volunteer.
Sure.
And if you're one of those people, I'll tell you how you can know you're one of those people, because you are the biggest critic of that coach.
Yeah.
Right? If you're the biggest critic of that coach and everything that coach does, every decision they make, then you're probably the one they don't want to volunteer.
Right. Yeah, sure.
And so, I mean, whether you like being that person or not, that's just the truth.
Yeah. And we talked about some of those things in our previous episode. So how about this one?
Is this a do or a don't?
This is a don't.
Okay.
It's kind of odd. I think people are going to cock their head in an odd way. Do not focus on goals. Originally, I was thinking I was saying don't set goals, but that's not good. I think you should have goals. I think you should set goals. Mm-hmm. But much more important than goals are the pathways that you're going to get to those goals.
Yeah.
So, a goal is an end result And
Yes.
I've become real big over the
Yep.
last few years of telling athletes, telling parents, don't focus on results. Focus on the approach.
Yeah.
Focus on the process.
Have a system and focus on that.
Yes. And when and following a game, following a practice, you go back and you don't think about, how many hits you had. You don't think about how many errors you had. You think about, during those plays, was my footwork good? Was I thinking, pre-pitch, what I need to do with the ball? Was I ready to field the ball? All these things that add up to making that play, to the end result of that play. Because in sports, the bottom line is we don't control. There's a lot of luck or coincidence, circumstance that goes into the result of a play. The result.
The result of a game.
Yeah.
The result of a season.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. And, so, if you're focusing on those goals, it's easy to lose. I mean, what if you're halfway through the season and you can no longer obtain a goal? Then where are you at?
Right.
That's rough.
Yeah.
That's hard to overcome. So do not focus on goals.
Yeah, I agree with that. And it's kind of similar to the one that came to mind there just a few minutes ago. And so I'll just go ahead and say it now.
Okay.
This would be like a sub point of your don't focus on goals. And that is, don't care too much about how your child performs.
Yeah.
Don't care.
Right.
And that's even within the process as well. Right. And this is tough because you're going to care. And you want to care, and we want you to care, but the key there is too much.
Yeah.
Don't care too much.
One thing that I feel this, but one thing that I started to do after my kids' practices and games is ask them, more so at practice, because over the last couple of years, especially with Jeremiah, my younger son, I've not been as present in his practices and even some games because he's been playing junior high ball in the spring, and so we might be at practice or a game and I'm not able to make it. So a lot of times I was placed in opportunities to ask him how things went.
Right.
How did it go?
Yeah.
How did you play? And believe it or not, our kids are able to give us a thought on how well they did.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's actually, a lot of times it's okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's I was great, and then sometimes it's I was horrible.
Yeah.
But it's a good practice, I think, if you have a hard time. If you feel like that you are you got to motivate your kid, or you want them to care more about their sport or whatever it is, which that leads into another one that we have. Ask them what they think.
Yeah.
Ask them
for sure.
how they did. Ask them how it went, because if you hear it from them, that's really what you're trying to get to anyway. You're trying to make them be the owner of their experience.
Well, and their answer just might surprise you at how much different it is than what you were expecting them to say, perhaps.
Oh yeah,
right?
I guarantee it will.
I'm looking for a video to try to play because I just saw this yesterday, and it was an interview with a basketball player from Boston College, I believe, where you could tell the guy was really distraught. There it is. Okay, so the
memory from playing basketball.
Boston College.
What are you going to take away as your best memory from playing basketball at Boston College?
Okay, yeah, Boston College lost. This was like 7 years ago. Lost in the ACC tournament, and this is a press conference from after the game, after the season, talking to one of their star players. I assume he's one. I don't even know who it is, but I just happened to see this video. It scrolled across I don't know if it was YouTube or TikTok or something. I'm sitting at the house watching videos, and this guy's clearly distraught.
What is your best memory from playing basketball at Boston College?
Probably just
Puts his head down, he's crying. I mean, look at that.
Yeah.
He's trying to think what's going to be your best memory. Listen to what he says. I mean, I'm still rolling the video. They're
Yeah.
waiting for him to talk.
going out to eat.
Wow.
And then he breaks down and cries again.
I have to.
They're shocked at his answer. And what was funny about that is the video that I saw yesterday said it was making fun of it.
Really?
It was like the person didn't get it. It's probably somebody who never played sports.
It's like a TikTok.
Yeah.
Just making fun of.
And they're like,
I can see him. I can
this
see him making
guy's
that pretty funny.
This guy's best memory and what he's going to miss most about playing a college sport. And he was breaking down and crying. And and when he lifted his head, he said, probably going out to eat.
Yeah. I'd say that's one reason that you are so big on the bus ride.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
It's good experience.
Everybody has to ride the bus home from our trips, to and from. Yeah. Because the experience of playing a sport is so much more than meeting those goals.
Yeah.
To go back to your point.
Right.
Than the performance.
Yeah. A bunch of results.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good stuff. So I think it's good to say, another don't would be do not define success for your athlete.
Yes.
I think that fits in with,
It does.
with what we're talking about here because, he obviously found a lot of happiness in those times that he was spending eating with his teammates, with the coaching staff and things like that. And, it's so easy in sports to look at a win-loss column. It's so easy to think about championships and things like that. But those things are almost that they don't correlate to life like
Right.
other parts of the sport.
Right.
They are least like life. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Those are once in a lifetime moments.
Yes.
I mean, there's a reason why we say this is a once in a lifetime experience because
Right.
it really is.
Yeah.
But it's the experiences that you have every day, all the time with those other players and friends on your team that you're going to be doing that for the rest of your life.
Yes.
And the best moments of that, in many cases, are with your team.
Right.
Yeah, you're going to be going out to eat a lot, maybe, depending on who you are and what kind of, I guess, funds you got as an adult,
Right.
or what you desire to do. Right, you're going to be going out to eat a lot, but not like that.
Well,
Not like that.
that's the thing. It's the time that he's spending with
Yes.
those teammates,
Yes.
with the coaches and things like that. And that's that falls into if you ever wonder why a kid would continue to play a sport when they don't get to play much. That's
Right.
probably one of
That's
the
why.
reasons. Yeah.
That's why. Yep.
Because of the time that they get spent with their friends, the
Right.
experience of being a part of that group of being a part of a program, a part of a team that's striving to accomplish something.
Boy, I tell you what, that gives me another thought just to stay right in this vein that we're talking about right now. But it's actually a do.
Yeah.
Because you said don't focus on goals, but I would say, based on what you just said, I would say do help sit down with your kids, help them set realistic goals for the season.
Yeah, absolutely.
Realistic goals, right?
Right.
And that requires honesty. Like it requires you being honest and them being honest, truly being able to assess where they are, where they stand probably on the team.
Yeah, and I think going back, do think about habits. Because to get to realistic goals, you got to think about how you're going to get there.
Yes.
And
Yes. Right.
So what are you going to do to get to that goal?
Be honest. I mean, if let's say, like you say, your kid plays football, right? And you want to help them set goals for the football season, but all they've done all summer is sit around on the couch and play video games and eat chips.
Right.
It's probably not realistic that they're going to be very strong
Yes.
come August,
Right.
right? And
Yeah, that's good, man. That's good.
I mean,
it's good stuff, right there. Here's a don't.
okay,
For a parent. We're rolling them up now. Don't come to the coach at the beginning of the season and ask what your kid needs to do to get more playing time.
At the beginning of the season.
It's too late.
Or yeah. Right.
Yeah. Maybe you can ask about next season.
Right.
But if you waited until the beginning of the season, it's probably too late.
Yeah, it's August right now. Baseball is a handful of months away. Ask it now for baseball. Ask it now. Right?
Yeah, and if you are asking that question, I can give you a
Be
hint.
prepared for the answer.
Well, I can tell you right now, going to the weight room isn't going to be a bad thing. So you might want to
Not going to be a bad
there.
thing. Yes.
Good stuff.
Yeah. Let's see. I had a do, I believe. What was my do? I just thought of it, and now it's left me.
I have a do.
Okay.
We'll go with mine and see if you.
Oh,
can
I just
remember.
thought of it.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, you first. I got mine written down.
Okay. I'm looking at my old notes from 2 weeks ago, and I've got some marked out and some circled. So here's a do. Do keep a sense of humor,
Yeah.
right? With everything, and that's with you, with your with the parents, with coaches, with children, with your kids, everything. I mean, and that really kind of comes back to the don't take it more seriously than your child takes it, and so keep a sense of like if your children know that you're having fun in this experience of them playing sports, they're going to have a lot more fun as well.
Yeah, that's true.
The kids that I see who don't have very much fun playing the game are the kids whose parents have just completely lost, like there's no sense of humor. I mean, there's nothing, I don't know. It's not funny to see your kids fail, right? It's not funny, but sometimes you just gotta laugh and say, hey, today's not your day. It's all right.
That's part of
We'll
sports.
wake up again tomorrow, do it again. I mean, and that's just, I guess that's the same. It's kind of the same thing as don't take it too seriously. Don't take it more seriously than your kids, which I think we have talked about that. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Coach, you had, Brock, your son, well, heck, Kaylee and Brock both had very good high school careers. Mm-hmm.
yeah,
And went on to play college softball and baseball. And so, but I guess I'd ask you, how can you think of a moment in high school sports where Brock failed that you've thought about over the last couple weeks?
over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
No.
No. It's not going to mean anything 2 or 3 years after they quit playing,
2 or 3 weeks, 2 or 3 days.
because you're on to the next thing.
You're on. Yeah.
And there's more important things.
Yeah.
Not to say it doesn't have value, but speaking directly, in regards to the failures and the losses and their performance, it's not going to matter.
No.
It's really not. And we waste a lot of time and energy and emotion in thinking about those things.
Yeah.
When we could just be focusing on our kids and them enjoying, this game, whatever game it is. Obviously, we both know that baseball is the greatest game in the world.
Yeah, that's right.
But
no doubt about it.
this is true for any sport. Just,
Yes.
make sure you are enjoying your kid playing. That's a great piece of advice there, and it actually goes with my other do encourage your kids' love for their sport. I've told people this over the last several years. When they come to me, they say, "What can I do to help my kid be a better hitter? What can I do to help my kid be a better pitcher?" And a lot of times, my answer is just nurture their love for the game, because if they love it, they're going to work at it, and they're
And
probably
that's
going to
gonna
be
make them
good at
better.
it.
Yeah.
But by like you said, by us enjoying the game, it allows the kids to enjoy the
that's
game
true.
a lot more too. So don't. it kind of goes hand in hand with the mental part of sports and how, we talk about how much time we spend practicing the mental side of the game,
Yeah.
The love for a sport is very important. And if you're going to play, above high school, if you're going to play a college sport, the love for that sport is astronomically important.
It's pretty much essential.
You have to have it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It can't be something that you just do to hang out with your friends.
For sure.
You got to love that sport. So if you want your kids to get to that spot, one of the most important things you can do is nurture that love that they have for that sport. And
That's a good word.
Yeah.
I'm going to go a little different direction here
Okay.
on a don't.
All right.
Do not go broke so that your child can play sports.
Yeah.
If we could stop anybody right now in the middle of it and say it isn't necessary, it just really isn't. I think back, if I were to go back and I should have done this, actually, probably should have done this already, or while we were doing it. But if I could go back and say, okay, from year 2013 through year 2018, those 5 years or 6, however many that is, take every receipt and every payment we made for their travel team and the 6 uniforms and like 6 uniforms per season, that kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? Those kinds of things. The amount of money that we spent on hotels and going out to eat and gas and everything, it would be appalling to think of how much money we spent doing that and invested in that, really. Sure. And so part of me, as I'm saying that, goes back and thinks I don't regret any of it.
No.
I would do it again.
Right.
But the other part of me says, could some of that at least have been better utilized in our family? Because the truth is, it's not necessary to have to do that to give your kids a really great experience and even give them opportunity. Because some people are like, well, I don't just want my kids to have a rec ball experience. I want them to have opportunities. And you only get opportunities when you put money into it. And that isn't true.
No.
It's not.
No.
It's how our podcast began.
Yeah, right.
Right?
Right, yeah. There's all kind of talking points out of this. If you are regretting it as you're doing it, that's a sign that you shouldn't be doing it.
Stop.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're putting too much money in it. A lot of people, the experience of traveling and playing, sports and things like that are good for families. So to those people, it's worth the money. And if you feel that value in it, then you're not overspending. You're getting something back for what you're spending. But I guess there's going to be a lot of people out there that says, yes, it is true. You have to spend money to get those opportunities. And I guess what I would say to that is you don't have to look very far, much further than Major League Baseball to know, some of the best baseball players in the world come from the Dominican Republic.
Yeah.
And you can watch videos online. They're out there. These guys hitting off, street cones and
using a tree stump for a tee.
Yeah. And have you ever seen the? I don't know if it was on the 30-30 or not, but Mariano Rivera, he had the cardboard glove that he had.
Oh wow!
You ever seen that? He actually had it during the interview, and it was just like it almost looked like maybe just a single piece of cardboard that they cut a hole in, and he had actually slid over his hand, and he patted it, and he said, "If you had one of these, you were way."
You
ahead
actually
of the game.
had something.
Yes.
Wow.
So but I tell you what, those kids love baseball.
Yes,
They love baseball.
They don't love the stuff of baseball. Because they don't have the stuff.
Right.
They love baseball. They don't have sliding mitts.
Yeah.
They just put their thumb in their fingers and make a fist and they slide.
We should do an episode on sliding mitts. I make a bunch of people out there mad. I know a lot of my Meg's parents too.
I don't know what we did. 5 years ago, 2 years ago, what did we do? How did people slide into bases?
They didn't. Didn't happen. It didn't happen. I don't know. It's hard to argue with the science, Coach. Yes, it is safer.
We're evolving.
A sliding glass.
Sliding
bit. But spending money. There's things if you think about it, and I know we've talked about this before. Actually, I'm sure we talked about it in our first few episodes of the podcast. And I've thought about it a bunch. Just if you think about a weekend of games and our travel opportunities, because and I don't think you can deny it. A lot of travel teams, and there's definitely different classes of travel teams, but a lot of travel teams don't spend much time practicing.
No,
they just don't.
No,
it's all about the games. It's about that game experience, and playing better competition, which that's a thing. I completely agree with you. Agree with that concept. But you're a lot of times you're passing up on practice.
Yeah,
and you could take you can go out for a half an hour and field more ground balls than you will in a season of travel ball.
That's the truth.
And not saying that you shouldn't play travel ball. Not saying you shouldn't spend money to learn technique and to to have instructors. We buy into that stuff, but evaluate it. Think about it. Think about what you're trading off and what could be what you could have in its place.
We're just saying it's not necessary.
Yeah, you're not going to fall behind.
Necessary.
Yeah,
exactly.
Right. It's not going to prevent you from getting where you want to be if you want to be there.
And so I suppose if somebody says, okay, if that's the case, like if you're saying don't go broke and we don't have to spend all that money, then what's the answer? What do we do instead? What do we do instead of having our kids play travel ball and spend all this money and all that? Here's my answer to that. Go back to the beginning and listen to the first 7 episodes of our podcast, because this is precisely one of the reasons why we started this podcast. It was only going to be about 6 or 7 episodes because we talked about just player development and focusing on that and how to begin doing it, how to actually start it, how to create it. And I tell you what, my brother's actually doing this next year. He's having tryouts. Actually, he had tryouts yesterday, and he's having it again Sunday, I believe.
Yep.
A couple of my players went up or going up and trying out for him. Yeah. Just basically the idea is just simple just baseball. We're not going to spend a ton of money. We're not going to go far away tournaments. Your kids are going to get to play baseball. They're going to be coached well. And
about 30 games.
We're going to scale it back. And we want to have a little bit bigger roster, because anybody that wants to go on vacations, go on vacations. If you need to miss for football or basketball or something, go ahead and miss. Understand that if we're all there and we got a roster of 14 or 15, probably not everybody's going to play that day, right? But it's okay if you need to. I mean, this just the way it is. We understand that summer's tough. Summer's full. So we're going to create a baseball team that acknowledges that and operates within that.
Yeah,
and I love it.
You have to now.
I love it.
That would be something we could talk about.
That's called what is his team called? The Mid Ohio. He's got a name for him, and I saw his hat for it already.
I can't remember.
I can't either. Daggone it.
They're going to play.
Should have thought of that.
About 30 games, though. I know that.
Yeah, I mean, he even said, if you put together your high school summer program, like and you got 9 or 10 kids that aren't playing anywhere, we'll play you. Just things like that. I mean, just playing some baseball, right?
Yep.
And who's to say that playing that kind of game against that kind of a team in the summer is a lesser experience than the one where you paid $1,600 to get in the tournament and another $800 to stay in the hotel and another $400 to eat and another $300 to drive there, right?
Yeah, and sometimes
and you're guaranteed that these scouts are coming to watch you, and then you show up to some remote field at some high school out in Podunk County somewhere, and you're like, I don't see any scouts around here. Well,
they're at the other field.
Well, they're they're down at Miami at Miami University, and they're over at Akron, and they're at those fields.
And sometimes you pay all that money and travel all that distance, and then you end up playing a team that's about an hour away.
Every time, you would be amazed at how many times you run in the same team.
That happened to Jake's girlfriend. I don't know if I should. I don't know if I'm allowed
To say girlfriend?
to say name, to say her,
Oh.
to say any names. I better. Maybe we should have her. Maybe I should see if she wants to come on and talk about sports, because she travels around a lot. She
Does she?
big time softball. So, and you know what? There's some people that I think we could have a good conversation about that with. But going back to what you said about we got to be be able to adapt to changing times, because we're losing.
Yeah.
It's getting so hard, and I would say all sports need to think about this, because it's getting so hard for kids to play multiple sports now.
Indeed.
And I feel like 2 or 3 years ago there was a big movement to go, for multi-sport athletes, and everyone was talking about it. In some of the conversations I've seen now, I feel like it's going back the other way, where people are like, well, here's some reasons to specialize. And, to be honest with you, I think there is a time and a place where
There's
you
a
should
time.
think about that.
I
Yeah.
agree. Yeah.
So, but, I think we, if you want to do something for sports, for the future of youth sports, for the future of high school sports, start thinking about ways that all those can fit together. Because for the smaller schools, it's hard. It's now very hard for a player to be a three sport athlete.
It is. And by the way, I don't think that any kid should ever consider specializing before they even get to high school.
Nah, me neither.
I mean, that's, I just
I
don't.
never
I mean,
will. It
if you
doesn't
got a
make
kid
sense
that
at
doesn't
all.
enjoy anything else but one sport, and that's really all they want to do, okay, that's fine. But I mean, don't be careful of saying, well, this is the one they're really good at, and so let's get them playing more of this. If you think they might still be interested in playing the other two or the other one, or
There's several reasons for that.
There
we could
is.
probably talk about that.
developmentally, it's injury prone, injury prevention, things like that as well. So cool. Well, what do you think? One more, or is that it?
Well, I got a don't for coaches.
Let's do it. Let's finish with this one. Don't for coaches.
For coaches.
Oh, okay.
Do not talk too much. I thought that'd be a good one to end on.
Okay. Or coaches, do learn to bite your tongue.
Yes, that's a good
Because
one.
I think we said that to parents as well. Right? And so we could say
That's
it
when
for
you take the
coaches as
notes,
well.
right?
That's right.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Be valuable in what you're saying. Make
Right.
sure you're not just. I was watching the Little League World Series.
Yeah. Which game? Well, the regional games.
It was It was last night. Who was that playing?
Was it the later one, the Hawaii and California?
It was the game before that.
That was Rhode Island and New Jersey.
Rhode Island.
Yep.
And
They put it on New Jersey.
they did. That coach, man. So he goes out to the mound.
You talking about the end of the game when they couldn't get the last out? They had 2 outs, and New Jersey was making a little bit of a surge.
Yes, I
Okay.
think. And he goes out to the mound. He's like, "Have I ever told you the story?" And the kids are like talking over him. Did you see that?
No, I
And
didn't.
he's like,
see
"Stop it, stop it!" And I feel like he was trying to have.
He's
his
mic'd
moment.
up?
Yes, he's mic'd up, so he's trying to have his
that.
moment.
He was having his moment.
Yes, and then after the game, he's out there talking. He says he chirps a little bit out there. He's like, they thought they were going to come in here and throw anybody they want at us, and that just didn't work. But it's so funny because he was talking, and they panned behind him. The camera was behind him, and the kid that came in and closed out the game, standing right in front of him, like 2 feet in front of his face, it looked like he was looking around his head constantly, like looking around him, not even looking at him. Like, this kid's not even paying attention to you. And the coach was going into stuff, and he just kept going and going and going. And I'm like, immediately, I think,
At a mound visit?
no. This was after the game in left field.
Oh.
Yeah.
The post-game
Yes.
talk.
And I'm thinking,
yeah.
He's saying some okay things, but those kids are not engaged at all. I hope I'm not like that after games.
You know what? They really are. they're not hearing much of what you're saying after the game. If you lost, they're thinking more about. I mean, you can't say anything to them that they're not already thinking.
There's been times where I haven't said anything. I've said, let's break it down.
And if you want, all they want to do is celebrate. That's one of the reasons. That's one of the things I love about home games. Is we have jobs that we do before we do anything. So we'll shake hands. If it's a win, great. We'll shake hands with the other team. They'll shake hands with each other, and then we do our jobs. If we lose, we'll shake hands, do our jobs. And then after about 30 minutes, however long it takes to get the field prepped, get it back, get it repaired, we'll meet. And by that time, I've already thought through in my mind what needs to be said and what doesn't. And usually it's not nearly as much as I know I would have said had we just met right after the game.
Right.
And that's honestly why even at away games, we don't go out to the outfield. We just, after we shake hands, we'll go to in front of the dugout and we'll say a couple things. We'll say, make sure you just remind them, make sure you get everything cleaned up. We want to leave this place better than what we found it. And then before we leave the fence, we'll get a break down. So we even have that space between that meeting as well. I'm not a big fan of the post game meeting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anymore. I used to be.
Yeah, I have been in the past, but I try to keep it as quick as short as I can. Like I said, sometimes there's not much to say. Sometimes it's just let's just get out.
I mean, those kids last night in that game, they got a championship game to play tonight, right?
Yes.
Because that was a semi-final, and they're moving on. Like that kid's probably thinking, well, he's probably thinking, I could use a cheeseburger right now. Right. I want to go back and swim in the pool when we get back to the hotel.
Want to go eat?
Yeah. I mean, and so he's not catching anything. So yeah, that's a great point. Don't talk too much.
Yeah.
Don't talk too much. Yeah.
Folks, thanks for joining us again. I hope you can hear the happiness that comes from Coach Stewart and I's mouth when we talk about these types of things, because it's such a big part of our life, and it means a lot to us, and that's why we get on here as much as we do and ramble and talk as long as we do, because we love the game, we love sports, love kids, and we want to be able to help as much as we can. So appreciate everyone out there that listens to us and gives us the time of day, and hope you can carry it on and feel motivated to do the same. So, appreciate you, Coach.
Appreciate you. Talk to you again next week.